Part 1 showed us that this painting is not ordinary. In Part 2, we have to accept something more unsettling. This scene is not just a moment around a table. It is placed inside a much larger system. And some theories suggest that this system is connected not only to the earth, but also to the sky. The more you look at the Last Supper, the more it stops feeling like a picture of people and starts feeling like a blueprint. Like you are staring at a machine that has been designed to guide your eyes, control your attention, and quietly push you toward conclusions you did not choose. That is why I want to open Part 2 with the idea that sounds the most extreme but also the most revealing, the zodiac theory. According to this theory, the apostles are not only arranged for drama. The 12 figures echo the 12 zodiac signs, placed inside a deliberate pattern. And in Leonardo's time, astrology was not a joke or a trend. It was treated as a serious language of structure. People believed the universe ran on cycles. Planets, seasons, temperament, destiny, everything was connected. The sky was not out there. It was a map of how reality behaves. Leonardo lived in a world where art, science, mathematics, and astrology weren't separate rooms. They were one room with different doors. Now the trap with this theory is that people immediately ask, okay, which apostle is which sign? That argument is the fastest way to ruin the theory, because the deeper idea is not a one-to-one label. The deeper idea is that the table behaves like a closed system, 12 forces in balance, tension, and opposition like a wheel. Some forces push outward, some pull inward, some clash, some mirror. And at the center of this wheel sits the calm point that everything revolves around. If Leonardo wanted the viewer to feel that this scene is bigger than a single betrayal, this is exactly how you do it. You don't hide a message in a tiny object. You build the entire room like a system that feels cosmic without ever saying the word cosmic. Once you accept that possibility, the next layer becomes obvious. The apostles are arranged in groups of 3, not randomly, not evenly spaced like decorations. They are organized like blocks. Each trio behaves like a unit. One trio compresses inward, another flares outward, another looks like it is trying to stabilize the chaos. This matters because it changes how you read the room. You stop reading 12 individuals and start reading 4 forces, 4 emotional zones, 4 different reactions happening side by side. And because they are in threes, the groups feel complete, like mini scenes inside the larger scene. Leonardo isn't showing one conversation. He's showing multiple conversations colliding. This is also where the conscious symmetry idea becomes more sinister. Symmetry normally means peace, balance, harmony, but here symmetry feels like control. The groups mirror each other just enough to look intentional, but not enough to feel comforting. The room is balanced, yet emotionally unstable. That contrast is a signature move. Leonardo gives you a structure that looks stable and then fills it with human panic. The viewer's brain loves structure, so it trusts the scene. But the emotions disrupt that trust. That is how you keep someone starring. Now the table line takes over. The table is not just furniture. It acts like a psychological barrier. It draws a clean border between the viewer and the moment. No matter how far the apostles lean forward, they never cross that line. The drama stays behind the barrier like it is trapped, and you, the viewer, are stuck on the outside. That does something subtle to your brain. It creates the feeling of distance and helplessness at the same time. You can see everything, but you cannot step in. You cannot stop the moment. You can only watch it unfold forever. That is not a normal scene. That is a controlled experiment. And if you think that's dramatic, look at what the table line actually does to your eyes. It acts like a ruler. It flattens the chaos into a readable stage. It keeps the movement from spilling into the viewer's space. It forces all the energy to travel sideways across the surface from group to group. It's like Leonardo wanted the viewer to scan the room the way you read a sentence. Left to right, right to left, back to center. The table turns the entire painting into a line of thought. That thought always collapses back into the center, because the center is built like a lock. Jesus' body forms a stable triangle. While the rest of the room fractures into motion, the center remains geometrically calm. This is not accidental. The triangle is a visual symbol of stability, control, permanence. Leonardo uses geometry like language. He places chaos around a form that refuses to collapse. The message is not Jesus is calm. The message is the center cannot be moved. That is why your eyes keep returning there. The triangle is a visual gravity field. And it's not just the body, it's the architecture. Perspective lines force your attention. The ceiling, the walls, the windows, the depth of the room, everything funnels toward the same point. You might think you are choosing where to look, but you are not. The painting quietly takes your freedom away. It's gentle, so you don't resist. It doesn't scream, "Look here." It simply makes every other direction feel less important. This is what I mean when I say the painting behaves like a machine. It guides you without your permission. Once attention is controlled, time becomes unstable, because the scene doesn't feel like one clean second. It feels like multiple seconds collapsed into one frame. Some apostles look like they just heard the sentence. Others look like they are already reacting to the reaction. It's like the moment contains an echo. This is why the before or after theory works so well. Is this the instant Jesus speaks, or the instant after the room realizes what the words mean? Leonardo makes that question possible by compressing multiple emotional phases into one image. Shock, denial, anger, calculation, fear. This is where the frozen moment theory becomes unavoidable. Nothing moves, but everything feels like it is about to. The room is holding its breath. Every figure looks seconds away from standing up, shouting, pulling back, pushing forward. But the release never comes. Leonardo traps the moment and suspends it. He gives you a tension you can never resolve. And that is why people return to this painting. It's not because they like it. It's because it never finishes. Your brain keeps trying to complete the moment, but the painting refuses to let you. Then comes the light, and this is where things get even more suspicious. The illumination inside the room does not behave like normal light. Yes, there are windows, but the lighting does not flow logically from them. Some faces are bright without a clear physical reason. Others sink into shadow despite being in open space. This light isn't physics, it's hierarchy. Leonardo uses illumination to decide who becomes readable and who becomes uncertain. He makes some figures visually loud and others visually quiet. If you want to control how a viewer reads a crowded scene, light is the cleanest weapon. And the weird part is that the light feels selective, not natural. It almost behaves like a spotlight system, like the painting is choosing what you notice first, second, third. That makes the scene feel staged, even though it's supposed to be historical. And once you feel staged lighting, your brain starts searching for staging everywhere else. That is how one theory breeds another. Leonardo sets up a chain reaction inside the viewer. The background windows reinforce the idea of structure. 3 openings, 3 repeated shapes, 3 spaces behind the chaos. Whether you read it as the Trinity Code or simply as repeating geometry, it creates a subtle religious and structural frame behind the human drama. It's not shouted, it's placed, quietly. The 3 windows sit like a reminder that there is something larger behind the argument at the table, something that does not move while humans collapse into noise. Now add the placement of the apostles by religious role. Who sits closer to the center, who is pushed outward, who leans in, who withdraws. This is not random placement, it's a map. Leonardo assigns distance and orientation like meaning. Figures that carry leadership energy feel physically engaged. Figures linked to doubt or confusion feel displaced. And the groups themselves feel like the scene is distributing power. Not everyone has equal weight at this table, even though everyone is physically present. The painting creates hierarchy without words. And above all of that hangs the largest symbolic layer, the shift from the Old Testament to the New. This is why the painting doesn't feel like a calm meal. It feels like a threshold, like one era is ending and another is beginning in the same breath. Law to faith, structure to sacrifice, order to uncertainty. If the Old Testament is about rules and boundaries, this scene is about a rule breaking, about the moment the system cracks open and something new begins. Leonardo doesn't communicate this with a single obvious icon. He builds the entire composition around the sensation of change. That is why the room feels tense even if you know nothing about the story. The painting is designed to feel like a transition. So when you stack all of these theories together, the painting stops being about a single secret. It becomes a system of pressure. The zodiac theory sets the ceiling. This is bigger than human drama. The trio set the rhythm. The scene is divided into controlled emotional units. The table draws the barrier. You are trapped outside the moment. The triangle locks the center, stability inside chaos. Perspective forces your gaze. Your attention is not free. Time collapses. The moment contains multiple moments. Light becomes a weapon. Visibility equals meaning. The three windows frame the scene, structure behind chaos. Religious roles assign hierarchy. Distance becomes power. And the old to new transition turns the table into a threshold, not a meal. That's why Part 2 matters. Part 1 was about obvious mysteries and famous arguments. Part 2 is about something colder: design, control, structure. The feeling that the painting isn't simply showing you what happened. It's telling you how to look, how to feel, and how to interpret the moment before you even realize it. If you want Part 3, this is where it stops being art and starts becoming something else. Because the table is finished, but the system behind it is not.